This is Paul Hamilton. I had the opportunity to make a flight from Carson City, Reno, Nevada, down to Southern California around the Ontario airport. It was a reasonably simple cross-country flight. Fly across the mountains, down the California Valley here, and down into Los Angeles. However, Los Angeles can be pretty complicated with the airspace. So what I did, I landed here at Bakersfield, got some fuel, came down this way, no real airspace problems. But boy, once you get down into the Los Angeles area, what a mess. Okay, so here we have our typical towered airspace diagram. And if we notice here, we've got our class Delta, which is one level cylinder here usually. Then we have our class C for your larger airports, which has your lower level and then plus a larger upper level here. And class Bravo, which is for your biggest airports, such as LA International, where you've got a number of different layers for airplanes to come in and stay within that airspace to come down to landing here. So this is your basics for your class Delta, class Charlie, class Bravo, towered airspaces. And as we can see on our sectional here, we go up to our details legend here, and we can help identify what those markings are here to identify our markings over here. So let's go over and zoom into our markings here and see what those look like. You can see our legend here, and we're going to continue to zoom in. Okay, so here we can look at our class Bravo airspace, which is our dark blue line, class Charlie airspace, which requires mode C, class Delta airspace, showing our ceilings here for the class Delta airspace. And down here is our G and E airspace. But right now we're just worried about our complex airspace, getting in and out of LA. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to a terminal area chart, which we can see is depicted here to get a greater detail of our area right here. Okay, here we're looking at a more detailed terminal area chart, and we can see as we come down here, I've actually got to get into this airport right here, Chino. And we can see we've got class Bravo airspace for the LA International here. We've got class Charlie for Ontario International here. We've got class Delta here. We've got class Delta here. So it's pretty complex airspace. So let's go back and look at this in a little bit more detail, step by step here, so it makes it a little bit easier to understand. Okay, so we're going to start off looking at the simplest towered airspace here, which is class Delta. We can see class Delta. This is the airport that I needed to fly into. And we've got class Delta here. We've also got class Delta here. Now we can go ahead and add our class Charlie airspace, which is from, and we can see we got Ontario International Airport here, class Charlie. And then we can go and add our class Bravo airspace, which is the LA International, which is here to fly into LA International here. Pretty much your jets would come in and come down the class Bravo airspace here. Okay, so here we're looking at our terminal area chart and our more complex airspace here. And we notice that, again, the Chino Airport right here with our class Delta airspace indicated by the dotted blue line here. We can see our other class D airspace here represented by our dotted line, and we can see the top of that class D airspace is 2,400. We can see the top of our other airspace over here. We can barely see that, so you have to look closely at that dotted line. And we can see that the top of that airspace is 2,700. So if we don't want to talk to the tower And there's no sense in talking to the tower of these two airports here, Class D. We'd have to fly above 2,700 and above 2,400 here. But just so we don't have to worry about what height we're at, we'll fly right down the middle here. And what I did is, as I was coming in here, I started listening to the Chino airport, finding out that everyone was using this runway here. So what I decided, so I had a couple choices. I could have flown over the top of or around our Class C airspace. Now we can see our Class C airspace here. It goes from the surface to 5,000 feet here. And we can see our airspace here for Class Charlie goes from 2,700 to 500. So we can see here that our Class D airspace goes right up to 2,700 because the top of our Class D is 2,700 here. The bottom of our Class C is 2,700 here. So there's nowhere to squeak in between your airspaces here. So I had a choice of coming in over here, staying below 7,000, below our Class Bravo airspace here, coming in and underneath our Class Charlie airspace here, below 2,700. But since everyone was coming in and landing on, I think it was runway 8 here, then I decided to come in lower, come between our two Class D airspaces, down below our Class Bravo airspace, below our Class Charlie airspace, and into our Class Delta airspace here. So let's go back and look at this and build our airspaces from a different view. So again, here we're looking at our Class Delta airspace, our Chino airspace we want to fly into. We're looking at our Class Charlie airspace here, where Chino Airport is underneath our Ontario Class C. And now we're looking at our Class Bravo airspace, where all your jets come in to Los Angeles like this. And it's higher here. Our Class Bravo is higher here, and then it decreases as the jets come into Los Angeles. So to summarize, basically flew in here, flew right between our Class Delta airspace here, our Class Delta airspace here, below our Class Bravo airspace here, which was 4,000 to 7,000 feet, below our Class Charlie airspace here from Ontario Airport, which we can see is labeled 2,700 feet, and straight on into our Class Delta airspace. Now the other option would be to fly over this airspace at 2,400 under our Class Bravo airspace here at 4,000 and actually come in underneath this way, but there's really no, or for that matter, we could have come straight over the top of our Class Charlie airspace and staying above 5,000 feet, below 8,000 feet here, or straight across, staying above 5,000 feet, coming over the top of this airspace, and then dropping down to below 2,700 and come in this way. But it seemed more practical to just get lower and do a straight shot in here after a long cross-country flight. There we go. Complex airspace made simple.